Okie dokie. Oh, hello and welcome to everybody. My name is Kate Hudson Hall, and thank you for listening to Bulimia Sucks, because for many of us, as we know, it does. So this is a platform for people to share relatable and uplifting and inspiring conversations based on bulimia, anorexia, and other eating disorders. And these are real stories from people who are suffering or have suffered an eating disorder, with episodes including their personal stories of, their maybe very difficult journeys and their steps of how they've taken that first step into recovery and how they've sort of transitioned through, and also to professionals who work with people with an eating disorder. Now, my Bulimia Sucks audiobook is now live on Audible, on Amazon and iTunes. And if you would be interested, want a free copy of this, so please email me at katehudsonhall@gmail.com and I can send you the code to download it for free. And also our Patreon platform is now live. So for those of you who don't know what Patreon is, it's a way for our listeners to support us financially and allow us to continue creating content and helping people who are struggling with eating disorders. So to find out more, if you go to patreon.com/Bulimia Sucks. Now, I'm very excited to welcome back Natalie Robertson. Now, Natalie has been on our show before. She was in episode 39, and she works as a chiropractor. And she's been working as a chiropractor for 6 years, specializing in posture. Sorry?
16 years.
16 years. Oh, I apologize. 16 years. Specializing in posture correction and a holistic approach to health. And she owns a lifestyle clinic in Putney called Spirohealth, which is in London. And this entails the chemical support in nutrition and physical support in alignments and exercise and rehabilitation, which is something that she is very passionate about. And also, she likes to work with the emotional support side in coaching. And she did suffer for 20 years with anorexia and bulimia. And she focuses on helping others on their healing journeys through eating disorders. And she is here today. This is going to be absolutely fascinating for us. And she is going to be talking about how she helps her eating disorders clients with her specific holistic approach. So now, Natalie, this is very exciting. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is amazing to have you on. And we've just been talking briefly before, and I know this is going to be fascinating, really helpful and inspiring to people, what we're going to talk about. So everybody listen up to Natalie, but get your posture correct. She's watching.
This is true. Very excited to be back again, Kate. Very excited to be back. And this time talking with a slightly different approach to how people could find some relief in certain aspects of their journey of healing. So I think maybe to start off with, people thinking, well, what is it? Like, what are we talking about here? So specifically talking about structural correction, so posture correction. Right. And that, in simple terms, is just restoring the natural curves back into your spine. So I would say, since March last year, when the first lockdown, in the world, was upon us, a lot of people were working from home. So the clients that I'm seeing now are people that developed problems and injuries dating from March 2020.
Oh, really? So it's really intensified.
Really intense and really specifically a date, because what changed? We weren't commuting. We were staying at home, so we were working either on our couch or on our bed, some people, or at a chair that isn't very good, with a laptop that was on their laps, or just something that was not, something had drastically changed in how we were using our bodies, and therefore now we are obviously experiencing the consequences of that.
Gosh, of course. I never really thought about that. Everybody working from home and, with the laptops on their laps and hunched over. Oh, gosh.
Either it was that, or because of the lockdown, people had more time on their hands, so they decided to exercise. Then they were over exercising or, stressing their bodies out. Didn't have any injuries before, but because they were then doing, an extra amount of exercise, which is stress on the body, suddenly all the injuries were coming to the surface.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Or DIY, everybody was doing up their house, painting, building, decking, gardening. So people really came across some injuries.
Oh, yes. I didn't really thought of it like that. Yeah, of course.
So from the specific approach, I would say that I do in Spirohealth and Putney, the technique is quite a mouthful. It's called Advanced Biostructural Correction.
Right.
Or ABC for short.
Okay.
And it really is about restoring structure so that your function improves.
Right.
And from a mindset, though, if we just switch for a second, from a mindset purely for people who are, on their eating disorder healing journey, one of the things that I remember so clearly for me was that I was obsessed with how I looked. So, the shape of my stomach, the shape of my...
Oh, yes. I think that's sort of quite common, isn't it?
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember
so shape of your stomach, shape of my back, like, my shoulders back, was I rounded? Like, all these kinds of things were so important. And something probably more for women now is the back of your neck. So the curve here. A lot of people wear their hair down because they want to cover it up, or they wear collars and they wear things that you can't see because a lot of people have like a very hunched over part of their back there.
Oh, hang on. I don't know if I got that. I've never looked at that. But yes, I'm sure that the people will have that problem.
Yeah. So again, basically what I fix with ABC is the hunched over part of the neck, the rounded slouchy shoulders, and then the very, very arched curve in your lower back. Very, very arched will make your bum stick out and make your stomach stick out. Right. And the way that I do that is, if you think about the spine, it's made up of all these building blocks, basically like Lego. So you've got right. Lego pieces going up and up and up and up. And you've got three curves, one in your neck, one in your mid back, one in your lower back. And in between each Lego piece, you think of like almost like a plate of jelly. So you've got jelly in between, which are your discs. So when you go walking or running, that absorbs the shock.
Yes.
Now, when the shape of the spine changes because of something we do every day, so it could be the pillow height you use, it could be the mattress you sleep on, it could be the shoes you wear, it could be, as I've said before, the desk, where's your computer sitting, what chair are you on, what car are you driving, because some people drive, long hours. So all those little things that we do every day, they start to, I would say, weaken your structure, because your curves in your spine start changing. So when the curves start changing,
because of the bad habits you've got into.
Because of the bad habits. So, it could be traumas. You could think of big accidents or falls or injuries or tackles in sport or car accidents or, something serious. Yes, that could be a reason. But most of the time, it's what we're doing on a repetitive basis. Same shoes, same pillows, same couch, same chair, same setup. And the body responds to that. So the curves change. The pressure on those jelly-like plates that I spoke about increase or decrease. And when you have too much pressure on a jelly plate, it'll pop out a disc. So that's what we call like a disc herniation or a disc protrusion, something like that, which what it does then is that obviously the two building blocks are then squashed together.
That's so painful, isn't it?
And the building blocks are actually protecting our nervous system. So they're protecting our spinal cord and all our nerves coming out. So when things are getting squashed now, then pressure on nerves starts to happen, and then you can get nerve pain.
Okay.
So nerve pain would be something like pins and needles, numbness, tingling, shooting pains, weakness, muscle tension. Those are the main sort of ones when it comes to nerve pressure, immediate nerve pressure.
Right.
Because the nerves also supply the organs, you can then have organ dysfunction. So that's why at the beginning I said, if your structure changes, your function can change. And that's when we're talking about, how is your heart functioning, your breath, what's happening with your bladder, what's happening with your bowels, what's happening with your lungs, breathing, what's happening. We just start talking about all the organs in the body and sort of what level you are functioning at.
Okay.
So I would say that the tip of the iceberg is to is to improve somebody's posture by giving them more confidence, because now all of a sudden, we can get rid of that lump at the back of your neck. We can get your shoulders back without you having to think about it or hold it up. We can get you not slumping through the middle of your chest, and that curve in your lower back, we can reduce that. So people aesthetically feel better, look better, have more confidence, more self-esteem. The underlying importance of that is that now the body functions better, the nerves are firing better, you've got more shock absorption in the spine, so you can move better, you can move easier, and then everything's functioning at its best level. So it's probably more about that than aesthetics, but the two go so hand in hand.
Yeah. And I think we all probably know that, if we put our shoulders back and hold our head high, we will feel differently. We'll feel more
Absolutely.
positive.
There was that, I don't know if have you ever read the research? I can't remember the name, but the Superman pose. Did you read about that?
No.
So which always makes me think, because, when people come into my office, when they leave, they look very different. Because when it's true posture correction, you will make a change to that person's body that obviously was different to when they walked in. And the Superman pose it basically says that if you can stand in a power pose, so hands on hips or like hands Superman up in the air or yay like that, or whatever feels powerful for you for 2 minutes, if you can hold that posture for 2 minutes, your brain chemistry changes, because your cortisol levels go down, so your stress levels drop. And testosterone
Why do the stress levels drop if you're standing like that?
It'll be because of, obviously, you feel different. So then you can, because you're feeling stronger, better, it'll obviously have an impact on what your brain is then thinking, and the thoughts then release chemicals in your body. So cortisol levels drop.
Because you've got your shoulders back, you've got your arm up.
Yes.
Hand on your hip. Here we go. And then what happens? You start flying?
Like imagine that.
Fly home then.
So cortisol levels drop and testosterone levels go up. So testosterone helps us because we can make faster decisions. We have better clarity. We have more confidence.
Yes.
So the outcome of that was, if you're going to have an interview, or you're going to have a date, or you're going to have, an important meeting or something, go into the bathroom and stand like Superman for 2 minutes, and this will set you up better for your meeting.
Oh, I love that. Oh, we've all got to try that.
From an ABC perspective,
what happens if you get an outfit to go with it? Does that make it?
There you go.
You could wear it to the meeting.
Outfit, hair, everything. Get it all going. I think it'll all add to the confidence. From an ABC perspective, when somebody walks into my office and I do posture correction, so specifically what I correct are those little Lego pieces I spoke about, the ones that are stuck forward.
Right.
We don't have any muscles.
Vertebrae that are in the wrong direction.
Exactly. But only specifically forward, because your body's really clever. It can fix itself any other time. So when you fall asleep on the couch, you don't wake up and, take 2 days or, just stuck there and somebody's got to help you. Your body will correct you. So these little vertebrae have muscles that can correct anything that is backwards, sideways, twisted, tilted, shifted, rotated. It cannot fix itself when something is stuck forward.
Oh.
So that's what I specialize in.
So when would it get stuck forward?
So in terms of stuck forward, it will go forward when you do these repetitive things that we've spoken about. So on your phone all day, on your iPad, on your laptop, driving in a bad position. The shoes that we wear can collapse us as well. The mattress and the bed and the pillow height can collapse us as well. How we sit, what we sit on can collapse us too. So that repetitive, as I said, everyday action will force some of these vertebrae forwards. We can't fix those. So as we get older,
right, so the body naturally wouldn't fix those. You have to do specific exercises to be able to strengthen.
Well, you can't fix those, period. Oh. So the way that the body will, if the right word is to use here, is compensate. So I've got something stuck forward. Hold on, let me just cut my power in, excuse me. Lose power.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So think about these bones that are stuck forward. You can't fix that. Now, instead of your body walking around like this all day, the way that it compensates is it twists you around and back.
Right.
Now you're more upright, but you're slightly twisted.
Yeah.
And then you go into something else happens, and it's 2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks down the line, something else goes forward and your body twists again. So when somebody's coming into my office and they've got a sore knee or a sore shoulder or a sore ankle, I'm thinking about, that's just twisted, but where is it coming from? It's coming from the spine. Fix the spine and the twist will go away. And then that's where we get results from.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because it's got to start there, hasn't it? And then it'll affect that part of the body.
When we use a twisted body, that's what wears us out.
Right.
That's what creates our injuries. So, the difference between somebody who's 90-year-old and in a wheelchair and can't move and got lots of health problems, and somebody else who's 90 years old and still going for walks and, gardening and doing their own cooking and cleaning. Those two bodies, the difference is one is compensated better than the other.
Yes. Okay. So with people with eating disorders, so what do you advise for them? How do you help them?
So I would look at ABC specifically as a slightly, a very left field, because I don't think everybody would think about this. So a very different approach to giving yourself some support to get through and heal through your disorder. So first of all, come in, have a checkup with somebody who can show you where your posture and your structure has changed and correct any areas that you are unhappy with that I've spoken about. So the bump and the slumped shoulders, the collapsing through here, the pushing, forward of your stomach and arched back. So you can be really, really slim, but have all these twists and bends, which makes you feel, one, very uncomfortable, and two, not very confident in yourself. So I would say that would be another way for you to investigate how you look. Secondly, the nervous system is really what all our structure is protecting. Right. So when somebody has a very hunched over, very twisted up posture and lots of injuries going on, you are pulling down and tugging on your nervous system. So the pattern you can create is of some depression and underlying anxiety, which, it just comes on. You're lying in bed and it's 4 a.m. in the morning. You haven't even, you're half asleep and you get anxiety and you're thinking, where is this coming from? And it can come from your structure. It can come from being pulled down in these places where things are stuck forward and twisted up and tugging on your nervous system to create the feeling like your body is under attack, almost like a survival type thing. So it's creating anxiety for you. It can create a depressive picture as well.
But thinking about it, most people, unless they've had some sort of education or been to a chiropractor, they would be slumping over their computer or over their phone, or everybody like hunches forward, don't they? Because that's just kind of I don't know why we do it, but it's more comfortable for people, isn't it?
Well, this is the thing. I work with a lot of children, and parents will say, "Oh, I always tell little Johnny to sit up," and I'm like, "Yes, well, he can sit up, but when he gets tired, he's going to go back to where his body rests, and where his body rests, if he's got bones that are stuck forward, is going to be hunched over." When we work with spines and we work with bodies, suddenly you can't slump anymore. It just doesn't happen because we've corrected that structure.
Hang on. So how do you correct it? I'm confused.
So when the bones are stuck forward, what I do is I specialize in fixing only the bones that are stuck forward. So whatever you can't fix, I fix, and then your body fixes itself.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm specialized in locating where these bones are and moving them back very gently. So we do it up against the wall, we do it on the bed, we use gravity as force, so it's all with the body and not against the body. Once you've moved these bones into a better place and they're not forward or they've come right back, you unwind. Your body unlocks and untwists. So it unlocks things, takes pressure either off the brain and the brainstem, the nervous system, which helps with energy levels, moods, lowering anxiety. It can help with breath, so you don't have shortness of breath or that sort of tension that people have when they're feeling really anxious as well. Just just between your breasts or your muscles in the front. So yeah, we unwind the body and we get some really big changes in how people feel about themselves in the world. And it's not something that I think mainstream or many people talk about.
Yeah. But I don't think we even really think about it at all, how it could like physically affect us, but also mentally affect us and cause us to feel depressed and cause us the anxiety and all the other problems that we may have if we aren't focusing on, on taking care of our posture.
It's probably the most under-emphasized, under-reported, what's the word I'm thinking of here? Because, structure equals function. That's it, period. Like that's my biggest premise that I work, that I base all of my work on.
Yeah. I remember at my school, I went to a boarding school, an all-girls boarding school, and in order for us to focus on our posture, they would give out, but very rarely give out, a posture girdle that you would wear. Sounds delightful, doesn't it? But it was just a band that you wore around your tunic and would hang down, and it was a maroon color. And so the girls with a good posture would have I always strived to get one, but alas, I never got one. So I used to borrow my friends.
Well, that's actually a really interesting question, because what I get asked at work is, should I be wearing, or could I wear a back brace, and will that help my posture? Well, so first of all, it very much depends on what your goals are, because if you want to put a brace on, you are going to achieve shoulders back, head up, and body there. You will achieve that. However, at what cost? Yeah. If you think about breaking your arm, if I put a cast on my arm for 6 weeks, what happens to all the muscles? Mm-hmm. What happens to all the muscles? And the arm gets really stiff in the position that it was held in. So if you're wearing a posture girdle or posture brace or anything for a long period of time, your muscles get weak. Your muscles get weak, and your body, because you've got other twists and bends somewhere else, if I now force my body upright, it's going to create a problem somewhere else. So we aren't fans of posture corrective devices. And there's babies and children I work with, in terms of head shape. Some babies' heads become quite flat in areas and, quite twisted up. This is really important for their brain development, super important that gets corrected. And a lot of people resort to helmets. They have these kids where it forces the head into the position that they want it to be in, which I have a big problem with, because the body has compensated for some reason. In my opinion, it'll be due to something in the spine. So it's compensated, and now you're putting a helmet on the head to force it to do something, and that pressure is just going to go somewhere else and create another problem later, or whenever. So,
and do you do cranial sacral therapy?
I don't do specifically cranial sacral therapy. I think it's great also on children and babies. My child Brooke actually had some of that. I will do ABC on babies.
How would you explain that so people would understand what it is?
The cranial sacral therapy.
Yeah, so
it's very gentle work, working on balancing, the tension between what's happening in the cranium, which is the bones around the brain, and then down into the sacrum. So it's just a rebalancing, very gentle, very effective. Yeah.
My son had that when he was 4. He had his behavior wasn't very good. So he had some cranial sacral work with a chiropractor, and the change was unbelievable. He
Kate,
really calmed down.
I can believe it. And now what we're seeing is, children that are diagnosed with hyperactivity or ADHD or ADD, and when we actually look or examine their posture, they are so compensated up. So they've got so many bones that are stuck forward, and they're so twisted up that they've got ants in their pants. So they don't, sitting listening to a teacher, when you're so uncomfortable, of course you want to move around. You don't want to sit, you want to stand up. You're looking out the window, because when you're moving, your body won't really notice that tension so much. So movement is like relief for them. So now when they're trying to listen to a teacher, concentration is just going to go. Yeah. So we get really good results with children where we can, again, rebalance everything. I fix the bones that are stuck forward, the body unlocks, it's not so twisted, they can calm down, they can sit for longer, they can focus a bit better.
So what would you suggest to people with eating disorders? What should be their first port of call here?
Well, I think, when I think back to my journey, if I had gone and somebody had taken a look at my structure, and helped me to not only hold myself better, but also breathe better, actually get more oxygen into my body with every breath and allow my heart to pump more blood around my body, that's just energy. That's, your energy is up. And then from a perspective, as I spoke about before, if my posture changes, the tension on my brainstem and my nervous system changes. So that underlying anxiety, depressive, low mood can change from a structural point of view.
Yes. Yeah.
So those would be my two, if you are really interested in alleviating those from another perspective, that would be what I would say. Go and have a checkup with an ABC practitioner in your area. I also do I'll do like this, sort of
on Zoom or something.
Yes, on Zoom. I can take a look. We can look at your posture. I can give you some things you can do at home that might help, which actually brings me to the sitting. So my number one tip for today, if you're looking at sitting to protect your posture, and if you have an injury, it may even help alleviate the pain of your injury, is when you are sitting on a chair, make sure that your hips, if this was my hips here and these were my knees, your hips are higher than your knees.
So you've got your elbow in your hand. So people that are listening, out flat. So you've got to make sure
that your hips are higher than your knees. So if your hips, you imagine sort of your butt cheeks, that your butt cheeks are sitting on something that lifts them up so that your knees sit down at an angle, like a slope down, but your feet are flat on the ground.
Gosh, look at me with my legs crossed and my knee high and my hips. Oh God, well, hunched over here.
That's what's so interesting, is that when we're concentrating and when we're focusing and we get, across our legs and underneath the chair, we're just working into the twists of our body. So that feels way more comfortable, because if you twist your leg the other way or fold your leg the other way, it doesn't feel so comfortable.
No.
So that's the compensation pattern your body is in specifically.
Right. So I need to make sure that my knees are lower than my hips.
Knees are lower than your hips. And that's for the car. It's for watching TV on the couch. It's for when you're doing work.
Does it matter how much lower they are?
It does. It does matter how much lower they are. The way to test it is actually to sit on the flat chair or the flat couch. And then for people viewing, I've got a wedge here. So this is called a seat wedge.
So it's like a slice of cheese.
Exactly. So it's higher at the back, lower in the front. Yeah. And I'm going to place that on my chair, and I'm going to put it to the back of the chair so that it sits like that.
So that the fatter bit of the cheese wedge is at the back.
Then I'm going to take a seat, and as I sit down, I notice, my hips are high in my knees, but straight away I'm more upright. So the point of the wedge is to have you sitting more upright with less effort.
Right.
And what it will do is it will allow you to take a deeper breath. So that's one of the tests that I show, is that when you're sitting more upright, you can take a bigger breath. You have more space for your lungs to work. So you said to me, how much higher should my hips be than my knees? And it very much depends on your body. That's where it gets quite specific. If you can't get hold of a wedge, I have got a shop on my website, which I think Kate will have a link to, so you can have a look at it there, see what it looks like. If you're at home and you're watching or listening, I've got a towel, a bath towel.
So a bath towel that's folded into 4, and it's being rolled
up like a sleeping bag. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put it to the back of my chair where my butt bones are. And as I'm sitting down, I will sit on top of that. It's not as comfortable as a wedge.
You're sitting on top of it?
Yes.
Oh, so the back, you've got your butt cheeks on.
My butt cheeks are directly on the top of that towel, because when I look down, my hips are higher than my knees.
Oh, I see.
So most people would think, you need to put that in the arch of your back because you want to support your lower back.
That's what I was thinking.
If you do that, that arch of your back has got bones that are stuck forward. So if you put something in there to support your back, yes, I understand it might feel supportive, but if you do that all day, it's pushing something more forward, which means the rest of your body has to compensate for that.
Oh. But that's more comfortable. Hang on a minute.
Well, exactly. But try attempt to use the towel underneath the butt cheek without anything pushing your back forward, and then see how your body feels.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. You see, we don't think about these things, do we? And how it can affect our mood and our everyday thinking. we've all got to rush out now and get our Superwoman outfit or Superman outfit and remind ourselves.
2 minutes in your pose.
Yes.
I think it's just, it's back to basics, really, which we forget about. I mean, how many of us are conscious of our breath in the day?
No, we're not.
So if, for instance, sitting on this wedge or sitting on this rolled up towel creates a bigger breath, which is more oxygen into my body with every breath, which then means at the end of my day, all those processes that oxygen is needed for in the metabolic world, but then also just to think and just to use energy, then energy levels are different at the end of the day. And suddenly you have more to give to your partner or your kids or yourself or your animals.
Yes. Yeah, but then, and also you'd have more energy throughout the day. You'd be thinking clearer. You'd have better concentration. You'd be calmer.
You've actually touched on something that I haven't emphasized today. One of the biggest, the feedback that we get from our clients, one of them is that they have better mental clarity. Like somehow they didn't know they were hazy or foggy. When they've had corrections done, suddenly everything is clearer, and it's
it's going to, I suppose, affect all different parts of the brain, but also the body.
Exactly. So creativity, inspiration goes up. It's really wonderful to work with people to see this happen.
Yeah, and you were saying when we spoke briefly before, you were saying, Natalie, that you ask people to gauge where they are when they first come to see you on a scale, don't you?
Yes. So initially I'll say to them, give me a sort of a number out of 10 of where your health is, and they'll give me that number. And then, down the line, as we progress in their care, sort of 12 visits in, 24 visits in, we'll do a questionnaire to find out where they are at then. And, in my experience, the last 16 years, such a high percentage of people will report that their emotional well-being has changed, and they do not know why. They can't articulate it. They can't say why. I mean, the only thing that would have changed is that they're now doing ABC, and they will say that they feel content, they feel calmer. There's so much stress going on around them, but they feel like they have more like space. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Wow. Oh, there's a lot of food for thought for us all here, and to think about, and to take steps with, to be able to change our posture. She says, sitting up and uncrossing her legs again.
Small steps. And I think just experimenting with having your hips higher than your knees, with nothing pushing your lower back forward. You can have a support in your mid back so that you're not holding yourself up all day. So you have a thoracic sort of area. Your chair. So the best chair is actually a very, very standard dining room chair. Right. It's 90 degrees and 90 degrees. So 90 degrees at the bottom, 90 degrees at the top. And then it's high enough so that it does actually support into sort of between your shoulder blades.
Yeah.
And then you pop something on to have your hips higher than your knees. That's the best seat that we would recommend.
Okay. And what about pillows?
So pillows is an interesting one as well. I mean, most people that come into my office have spent not hundreds, but thousands of pounds on different pillows that are gimmicks. And one thing I want to be clear with people is that's not one size fits all. You cannot get a pillow that's going to make everybody happy. Yeah. And so what we do in the office, we sell pillows that are got layers, different layers, small, big ones, small ones, little ones, medium ones. And you build up your pillow according to what you need. So we teach you like a little formula to figure out what you need for your sleep on your bed, on your mattress. So it's all very specific, very unique. I could never say, I use this pillow, Kate, so you use that pillow. It'll be very different for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea to be able to, because everybody's different. So to be able to gauge it for that individual with the layers.
On my YouTube channel, on Spirohealth, I'm sure I've got some information on the pillows. And, at work in Putney, if anybody's close to Putney in London, you're very, very welcome to come. Every 3 weeks, I do a workshop, which is free for family, friends, and obviously current clients. And we go through everything. We go through sitting, we go through shoes, we go through pillow height, we go through mattresses. Excuse me. It's a great workshop.
Oh, fantastic. So we'll put all the links below so people can find you, and then they can contact you and connect with you online.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Natalie, this is fascinating. And I know that it will help so many people. We've got to all do our own research, and learn from Natalie. So lastly, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I think, as I said, structure's underestimated. I would really support people in doing their own research. If you have any questions for me, I'm available. Send an email. We can set up a call. I can take a look at your posture online if you'd like. Honestly, I think it's something that hasn't been addressed or emphasized, and it could change your world. So.
Excellent. Oh, thank you, Natalie. This is amazing. Okay, great. So, well, that's all for today's episode of Bulimia Sucks. So thank you to everybody for listening. And of course, to Natalie for sharing all her knowledge and inspiration. So join us again on the next episode of Bulimia Sucks, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple iTunes so you never miss an episode. And if you didn't catch it earlier, my book is out called Bulimia Sucks on Amazon to learn many different techniques to help you to begin to break through those painful bulimic behaviors. And thank you for listening. Before we go, let us know what you think of the show and show some love, your favorite podcast, by leaving us a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to it, on TuneIn Radio or Spotify or Google Podcasts or wherever it is. And then come and check out our Bulimia Sucks podcast page so we can all connect together and bond and beyond. So I look forward to speaking to you all in the next episode.